So I got this comment the other day and I was like, I need to educate you probably. And the thing is, whether or not you're considering a Z5 or a Z50, I'm gonna tell you which one should you get, which one you should not get in general, which one is the right camera for you, and is it actually worth paying double the price of a Z50? You're essentially getting two Z50s for one Z5. Is it actually worth it? Stay tuned. I'm gonna talk about the specs, the decks, and everything you need to know. So the comment went around along the lines of, hey, you should get the Z5 instead. It shoots 120 frames per second, everything you need, and it's full frame. But I'm sorry, but you are unfortunately wrong in a lot of the things that you said in that. So overall, just before I get into that and grill that person, overall the Z5 was released in 2020 with a 24.3 CMOS sensor with a full frame CMOS sensor, as well as has features such as a headphone jack so you can monitor your audio, as well as you have not a selfie flippy down screen like the Z50, but a normal articulating screen LCD, as well as you have a dual SD card slot and it shoots 4K. And I'll talk about that a little later. And why should you get this? Because it appeals to something along the lines of a photographer who is really interested in getting a full frame for that price point of around $1,700 to $1,800. Features a full frame sensor, 24.3 megapixels, a CMOS sensor, has a faster shutter speed, films 4K, has a headphone jack, IBIS. It is released in 2020, so it is a lot newer, technically 1 year newer than the Z50. Has two dual SD card slots for all of my photographers out there, as well as it can be powered continuously with a USB-C charger. So those are the overall specs of the Z5, and it is a full frame sensor, which is, I totally get it. There's a lot of people out there that's like, okay, you're gonna get better low light, you're gonna have better bokeh. But along with the Z5 and the price point of being an entry-level mirrorless camera, there are a lot of downsides, which I'm going to talk about now, and why you should definitely consider is that unfortunately the Z5 does not shoot 120 frames slow motion in 1080p. Another downside is that all the 4K video, this might be the deal breaker for you, is that all 4K filmed on the Z5 has a 1.7x crop factor. So you're not using all of the sensor, and you're essentially buying a full frame for video, but you're getting the range of an APS-C sensor. That is, for me, a huge deal breaker. So it only has 4K with a 1.7x crop factor, and it does not in 1080, but if you're filming at full frame at 1080, but it does not have 120 frames slow motion, only goes up to 60 frames, as well as you don't have a built-in flash anymore, but the Z50 still does. Another con of the Z5 is it is a little bit more bulkier, and the Z50 is a lot more compact and weighs in approximately 200 grams lighter. And those are the specs are from the Nikon website from the manufacturer, so I think I might be a thing or two along the lines of the Z5. Who is it actually for? The Z5 is those for photo enthusiasts, although it has a headphone jack so you can monitor your audio. It's not recommended for that price point to get something along the lines of a Z5 strictly for video. The Z5 is more for photographers with that dual card slot, which is mainly used by photographers out there professionally through, let's say, weddings, right? As well as that 1.7x crop factor for video is a huge turnoff for me. Whereas if I'm gonna get a 1.7x crop factor, I might as well have that already with this Nikon Z50, as well as paying half the price. I'm slashing the price in half. I can pick up two Z50s for the price of one Z5, as well as there is things like you have to consider with video is that the Z50 does not have IBIS, as well as it does not have auto monitoring. But all that can be simply fixed by putting on a gimbal, as well as just playing back your videos after you're recording, which is a hassle. But for half the price point, I'd much rather pick up the Z50, which is why I did for my own video use, as video is the primary use of the Z50. And if I were to stay within the Nikon lineup for, let's say, a full frame, I would much rather have you guys invest in a Z6 and a Z7 worth the budget much more than paying twice the price for a Z5 that has a 1.7x crop factor, as well as you're not going to get much notable difference from shooting 4K with that Z5 as well as Z50 because of the big crop factor. factor, and that is a huge no if you shoot videos like myself. And if you're run and gun and compact, the selfie screen, the Z50 is much better towards those who are vloggers, who are content creators for under $1,000 price point. And I think even to this day, under $1,000, right? If you get the body alone, it is unbeatable in this market. So those are my overall thoughts. What do you guys think? Would you get the Z5 for video, or would you get the Z50? Let me know in the description below. As well as if you want to get more serious about video, I have all my goodies and resources in the description below where I help you become a better content creator. Whether it is you want to get that first client, or you want to be better at getting finally out of auto and going to full manual. In the description, check that video below. Z50 is the way to go for my heart for videos. If you're more a photog with a little bit of video, you want to capture that moments here and there for BTS, then yes, there's the audio monitoring, the dual card slot, as well as IBIS. But for the price point, you put a Z50 on a gimbal. Do I need to say more? My name is Peter. You're watching a Broke Visionary Collective, where we all start nothing, but you can always create something. Cheers, guys.